In this video, I'm sharing with you how to make an outstanding marbled cake using my homemade chocolate buttermilk cake and my vanilla or yellow cake recipe. You'll see one way to fix a lopsided cake and fill the layers with a simple whipped cream with sliced peaches. I'm going to show you today how I make a marble cake. First, make sure that you prepare your pans ahead. Now, I do have a video on preparing cake pans, but I will just tell you what I do. I put Crisco shortening around the entire pan, and you can use a spray if you want. And then I put a little dusting of flour in there, and I get all the excess out. And then I cut a piece of wax paper to fit the bottom, and that way your cake is guaranteed not to stick. Now I made two batters. I made a yellow cake and I made a chocolate. Now the chocolate is on my channel. It's my chocolate buttermilk cake. The yellow cake is not yet on my channel. It's on my website, weddingcakesforyou.com, and you can also use my 1, 2, 3, 4 cake, which is also called vanilla cake, and it's also called my wedding cake recipe. So the first thing you want to do is fill your pans a little bit with the yellow or the white cake, whatever one you decide to use. And you're going to do that for each cake. And I do get a lot of questions about marble cake, so hopefully this will help. Then I'm going to take the chocolate, and I'm just going to put a little bit in there. And I'm going to take a knife. You can use a spoon or a knife. I'll use a spoon. And just run the spoon through and swirl the chocolate. Don't overdo it though, because you don't want it to be too muddy. That's good. This pan was a little bit less full, so I'm going to use the rest of the white in here. So that's what it looks like, and I'm going to pop it in the oven. In this case, I use 325 most of the time with my oven for my cakes, and it's a convection oven. And bake those until they are somewhat firm to the touch. So as you can see, when I push down on it, it bounces back a little bit. And you can also use the toothpick method, which is you put a toothpick in the center, and if it comes out clean, that means your cake is done. I'm going to add a little more chocolate to this one. Okay, here we go. I'm going to pop them in the oven. Cakes are done. Here's what they look like when they come out. Beautiful. Now if it sinks a little bit, like this one here is sunken a little bit, it's fine. If it was sunken deep, then I would worry, but it's fine. These are going to be delicious. For the marble cake, I'm using a whipped cream and a peach filling. So I'm using some peaches that I got at the grocery store in a jar, and I'm going to go ahead and strain out the juice. The peaches are not in season right now, so I went with the nice, I went with a really good quality cling peach that's already sliced and stored in syrup. So I'm going to set that aside. For your whipped cream, simply just put your whip on there. This is for a 10-inch cake. I'm going to go ahead and do the whole 2 cups. It's going to be probably more than I need. About a half, I have a 1/3 cup of sugar here, confectionery sugar. I'm going to put like half of that in there and a little bit of vanilla. Just going to put a couple dollops in there and whip that up. I tasted it and it needs more sugar, so I'm putting the full 1/3. I just cut my peaches, and what I did, sorry the camera wasn't on and I thought it was. I just cut them in here's what the original thickness was, and I just cut them in 1/3 basically, lengthwise, and then I just cut them in half. So here's the size and the thickness that I want for these peaches. Board here. Now I cut this one out of a bigger board because I didn't have any 10-inchers in the house. I've got my cakes here. So the cakes were frozen. They're not solid frozen, they're just very, very chilled. They're a little bit frozen, but not completely. They've been in there overnight. I'm going to leave them as a thicker layer and just do one thick filling. And the sticky side is going to go down. This is the sticky side that's on top. And it's now the bottom. And you can always go back and trim if you need to trim the cardboard, which I will probably do. I'm just going to get this one ready. Just going to see how this might best fit. My cakes came out a little uneven, so that looks pretty good right there. And what I do, a little trick, this is kind of a little tip. It's still not perfect. Let me see if I can get that better. Definitely lopsided. In a case like this, I would either trim the cake or I would add a little more buttercream on the side that is off, which is what I'm going to do. So just to mark it, I'm just going to put a little line here with the knife, little notch. This is where I want it to be, where I want to match it up. Okay, so I have my, you want to put buttercream into a pastry bag. I'm using a, I think it's a 4B tip. So any kind of a big tip, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be a 4B. It could be just a round tip. And you're just going to put a border all the way around. Now I'm going to make it, I'm going to come back around, make it even thicker on this side because I have a little bit of a lopsided cake here. And then I'm going to fill, so you want to fill this area here with whipped cream. I'm going to make this a little higher because I want to put more whipped cream in there. And this dam will help keep the whipped cream in place. So I've got my notch, I'm going to line them up. And look at that, came out nice and straight. So here's the finished cake. I'm working on creating a tutorial on how to do these textured buttercream paintings on the side of a cake, like this one, and this beautiful soft pastel version. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to my channel and click the little notification bell so you'll know when I upload all my videos. And I also want to remind you, I do have a book. It's called Wedding Cakes with Lorelei Step by Step, and it has all my best recipes as well as how to make a wedding cake. So thanks again for being here, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.